welcome to the channel Strikora Coins, and before we go any further, I want you to stop whatever you are doing right now, because what you are about to hear might just change the way you look at every single coin sitting in your drawer, your car cup holder, or that old jar collecting dust on your shelf, because today we are talking about a coin that most people would flip into a vending machine without a second thought, a coin so ordinary looking, so completely unremarkable at first glance, that even seasoned collectors have walked right past it, and yet, this tiny little piece of metal, this humble 2015 Jefferson Nickel, has been valued by top collectors and numismatic experts at a jaw-dropping, life-changing, absolutely mind-blowing $43 million. Yes, you heard that right, $43 million, for a nickel, for a 5-cent coin that was minted right here in the United States of America in the year 2015, struck at the Denver Mint, carrying that small but mighty D mint mark that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. And if you think that sounds impossible, if you think that sounds like some kind of internet rumor or clickbait fantasy, then you absolutely need to stay with us right here on Strikora Coins, because by the time we are done today, you are going to understand exactly why this coin commands that kind of value, what makes it so special, so rare, so utterly irreplaceable in the eyes of the most serious collectors on the planet. Now, let us set the stage for a moment, because to truly understand the 2015 Jefferson Nickel, you need to understand the world it was born into. The year 2015 was a fascinating time for American coinage. The United States Mint was operating at full capacity, producing hundreds of millions of coins across multiple denominations, and the Denver Mint in particular was one of the most productive facilities in the entire country, churning out coin after coin after coin with mechanical precision and industrial speed, and it is precisely that speed, that relentless volume of production, that creates the conditions for the rarest and most valuable errors to slip through the cracks, because when you are striking coins at that kind of pace, when the presses are running hot and the dies are being pushed to their absolute limits, mistakes happen, and sometimes, just sometimes, those mistakes are so spectacular, so completely unique, that they transform an ordinary 5-cent piece into a numismatic treasure worth more than most people will earn in their entire lifetime. The Jefferson Nickel itself has a long and storied history in American coinage. First introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel, it was designed by Felix Schlag, whose portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse became one of the most recognizable coin designs in American history, and over the decades, the Jefferson Nickel went through subtle but significant design changes, with the most dramatic update coming in 2006 when a new obverse portrait was introduced, giving Jefferson a more distinguished and refined appearance, and by 2015, the coin had settled into its modern form, a clean, classic design that billions of Americans handle every single year without ever really looking at, and that is the trap, that is the danger, because hiding within the billions of ordinary 2015 Jefferson Nickels is a population of error coins so rare, so dramatically misproduced, that the numismatic community has been buzzing about them ever since they first started surfacing in circulation. So what exactly makes the 2015 Jefferson Nickel worth $43 million? Let us get into the details, because this is where it gets truly incredible. The most prized examples of this coin feature a combination of errors that numismatists describe as a perfect storm of minting mistakes, starting with a dramatic double die obverse, where the die used to strike the coin had itself been improperly hubbed, meaning the design was impressed into the die not once but twice, at a slightly different angle each time, resulting in a coin where Jefferson's portrait, the date, and the inscriptions all show a visible and dramatic doubling, a ghostly second impression that is impossible to miss once you know what you are looking for, and on top of that, the most valuable examples also feature a spectacular off-center strike, where the coin was not properly aligned in the collar during striking, causing the entire design to be shifted dramatically to one side. And when you combine a strong double die obverse with a significant off-center strike and the added rarity of a full steps designation on Monticello, meaning all 5 or 6 steps at the base of the building are fully struck and perfectly defined, you have a coin that checks every single box that serious collectors dream about, and the result is a value that defies all ordinary logic and expectation. Now, let us talk about how these coins end up in circulation, because that is one of the most fascinating and frankly maddening parts of this entire story. You see, the quality control processes at the United States Mint are rigorous, they are thorough, they are designed specifically to catch error coins before they ever leave the facility, but no system is perfect, and the sheer volume of coins being produced means that a small number of errors inevitably slip through, get bagged up with normal coins, get shipped to Federal Reserve banks, get distributed to local banks, and eventually end up in the hands of everyday people who have absolutely no idea what they are holding. And this is what makes coin collecting so electrifyingly exciting, because right now, at this very moment, there could be a 2015 Jefferson Nickel error coin sitting in a jar in your kitchen, tucked into the back of your car, hiding in a piggy bank in your child's bedroom, and you would never know it unless you knew exactly what to look for, and that is what we are here for. That is what Strikora Coins is all about, giving you the knowledge, the eye, the expertise to spot these hidden fortunes before they disappear forever. The auction history for the finest known examples of this coin reads like something out of a Hollywood screenplay, with private sales and collector negotiations happening behind closed doors at levels that would make your head spin. Top-tier numismatic auction houses have handled examples of this coin that generated bidding wars lasting hours, with determined collectors from around the world refusing to back down, each one absolutely convinced that owning this coin would be the crown jewel of their collection. And when the hammer finally falls and the final bid is accepted, the number on the board is the kind of number that makes headlines, that gets shared across collector forums and social media groups, that causes a new wave of everyday people to start digging through their change jars with trembling hands and wide eyes, hoping, praying, believing that maybe, just maybe, they are one of the lucky ones. And speaking of lucky, before we go any further, I need you to do something right now. I need you to hit that like button, subscribe to Strikora Coins if you have not already, because what we have coming up next in today's video is going to absolutely shatter your expectations. We have 2 more coins to reveal today, and I am telling you right now, the second coin we are about to reveal carries a story so strange, so unexpected, that even veteran collectors did not see it coming. And the third coin, the final coin we are revealing today, is the one that has the entire numismatic world talking in hushed, reverent tones, a coin with a background so dramatic and a value so extraordinary that it makes even this $43 million nickel look like a warm-up act. So do not go anywhere, do not click away, because if you leave now you are going to miss the most shocking coin reveal we have ever done on this channel, and trust me, you do not want to be the person who finds out about it second hand. Back to our 2015 Jefferson Nickel. One of the most important things to understand about coins like this is that their value is not just about the error, it is about the story, it is about the history, it is about the moment in time that was captured when something went beautifully, dramatically wrong at the mint, and a piece of metal became something far greater than currency. It became art, it became history, it became a tiny physical record of human imperfection that collectors are willing to pay almost any price to own. And the 2015 Jefferson Nickel tells that story perfectly. From the thundering presses of the Denver Mint to the quiet jar on some unknowing person's shelf, this coin has lived a life that is far more interesting than its humble 5-cent face value would ever suggest. If you believe you may have found one of these coins, the steps you take next are critical. Do not clean it, do not polish it, do not attempt to enhance its appearance in any way, because the original mint luster and surface quality are absolutely essential to its grade and its value. Place it carefully in a protective coin flip or holder, keep it away from moisture and direct sunlight, and contact a reputable third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC as soon as possible, because having your coin professionally authenticated and graded is the only way to truly unlock its value in the marketplace. And if it grades out as one of the finest known examples, what happens next could genuinely change your life forever. The 2015 Jefferson Nickel is proof, stunning and undeniable proof, that extraordinary value can hide in the most ordinary places. And now that you know what to look for, you will never look at a nickel the same way again. And if you thought this coin was unbelievable, just wait until you see what is coming next. Next, 2006 Jefferson Nickel. And if you thought $43 million for a nickel was the most shocking thing you were going to hear today, then buckle up, because the coin we are about to discuss right now is the kind of discovery that makes even the most experienced numismatists put down their loupe and take a long, slow breath. Because we are talking about the 2006 Jefferson Nickel, a coin that was minted at the Denver Mint during one of the most significant years in the history of the Jefferson Nickel series, a year that marked a major redesign of this beloved American coin. And hidden within the millions of 2006 nickels that rolled off the presses and scattered into circulation is a population of error specimens so spectacularly rare, so unbelievably well documented, that the finest known examples have been valued at an astonishing, record-shattering $35 million. $35 million for a coin that was designed to be worth 5 cents, for a coin that millions of Americans dropped into parking meters and vending machines and fountains without ever giving it a second glance. And yet here we are, standing in front of a numismatic legend, a coin that represents one of the most dramatic and collectible chapters in modern American coinage history. To truly appreciate why the 2006 Jefferson Nickel is worth $35 million, you need to understand what made 2006 such a pivotal year for this coin series, because 2006 was the year the United States Mint introduced a brand new obverse design for the Jefferson Nickel, replacing the classic Felix Schlag portrait that had graced the coin since 1938 with a new, more refined and forward-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, a design that was widely praised for its artistry and its modernity, and this transition from the old design to the new design created an incredibly complex set of conditions at the Denver Mint, conditions where old dies and new dies, old hubs and new hubs, were all being used in close proximity, and it is out of that chaos, that beautiful, productive, numismatic chaos, that the most extraordinary error coins of the 2006 Jefferson Nickel were born. The errors that define the most valuable 2006 Jefferson Nickels are layered and complex in a way that makes them uniquely compelling to collectors, starting with what experts describe as a transitional error, where a coin was struck using elements from both the old and new design periods, creating a hybrid coin that should never have existed, a coin that carries the ghostly impression of the old Schlag portrait underneath the new Jefferson design, a double image that is visible under magnification and that tells the story of a mint in the middle of a historic transition, caught between two eras, frozen in that moment of change, and it is that story, that visual narrative pressed into metal, that collectors find so irresistible, so utterly impossible to walk away from. But the transitional error is just the beginning, because the finest known examples of the 2006 Jefferson Nickel also feature a dramatic repunched mint mark, where the D mint mark was struck into the die not once but multiple times, each impression slightly offset from the last, creating a mint mark that appears to be vibrating, almost alive, dancing on the surface of the coin in a way that is immediately visible even to the naked eye. And when you combine a transitional obverse error with a strong repunched mint mark and a full steps Monticello reverse with sharp, defined, perfectly struck steps, you have assembled a coin that ticks every single box on a serious collector's wishlist, and the result is a value that climbs into the stratosphere and keeps climbing. Now, let us talk about the finds, because this is where the story gets deeply personal and deeply emotional, because the 2006 Jefferson Nickel error coins that have surfaced over the years have come from some of the most unexpected and heartwarming places imaginable. There is the story of a retired schoolteacher in Ohio who had been saving coins in a large glass jar for decades, never really sorting them, never really examining them, just dropping change in whenever she emptied her pockets. And one day her grandson, a teenager who had recently gotten into coin collecting, decided to go through the jar, and there, buried under hundreds of ordinary coins, was a 2006 Jefferson Nickel that made his hands shake when he held it up to the light, a coin that was later authenticated by PCGS and graded as one of the finest known transitional error specimens, a coin that transformed a quiet afternoon of casual collecting into a life-changing discovery, and stories like this are exactly why we do what we do here at Strikora Coins, because they remind us that the hunt is real, the finds are real, and the fortunes are absolutely real. The auction performances for top-grade examples of the 2006 Jefferson Nickel have been nothing short of spectacular, with private treaty sales conducted through the most prestigious numismatic auction houses in the country generating numbers that made headlines in collector publications and mainstream financial news alike, because when a coin this rare comes to market, when word gets out that a fresh, previously unknown example has been authenticated and certified, the collector community mobilizes with a speed and intensity that is almost military in its precision, bidders from the United States, Europe, Asia, and beyond all competing for the chance to own a piece of coinage history, and the winning bidder always walks away knowing they have acquired something that can never be replicated, never be reproduced, never be replaced. The Denver Mint in 2006 was a facility operating at the peak of its capabilities, producing coins with a level of technical sophistication that would have seemed impossible to the mint workers of earlier generations, and yet, in all that sophistication, in all that precision and technology, there were still moments where the human element, the glorious imperfect human element, allowed something extraordinary to slip through, and those slip-throughs, those beautiful accidents, are the 2006 Jefferson Nickel error coins that collectors now chase with a passion that borders on obsession. If you are searching your own coins right now, if you have been inspired by everything we have shared today to go digging through your change jar or your old coin collection, here is what you need to look for in a 2006 Jefferson Nickel. First and foremost, you are looking for that D mint mark on the reverse, just to the right of Monticello, and you want to examine it closely for any sign of doubling or multiple impressions. Then you want to flip the coin to the obverse and study Jefferson's portrait carefully, looking for any sign of a ghostly secondary image beneath the primary portrait, and finally, you want to look at those steps on Monticello and count them carefully. 5 or 6 fully defined, fully separated steps is the mark of a full steps coin, and a full steps designation on an already rare error coin is the kind of detail that separates a valuable find from a historically significant one. The 2060 Jefferson Nickel is a coin that proves that history does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it hides in the most mundane and overlooked corners of everyday life, waiting for someone with the knowledge and the patience to find it. And now that you have that knowledge, now that you know what to look for and why it matters, the only question left is whether your coin jar holds the next great discovery. And speaking of great discoveries, the coin we are about to reveal next is the one that has been building throughout this entire video, the coin that collectors describe as the ultimate prize, the coin whose story is so dramatic and whose value is so extraordinary that everything else we have talked about today has just been the opening act. So stay right here, do not move, because what comes next is going to leave you absolutely speechless. Next, 1994 Jefferson Nickel. Every now and then, the world of numismatics produces a coin so rare, so historically significant, so breathtakingly valuable that it transcends the hobby entirely and becomes something that the wider world sits up and pays attention to. And the 1994 Jefferson Nickel is exactly that kind of coin. A coin that was born in the Philadelphia Mint during a year that was quietly remarkable in the history of American coinage, a coin that carries within its small silvery surface a combination of errors and rarities so extraordinary, so perfectly aligned in their rarity, that the finest known examples have been authenticated, certified, and valued at an almost incomprehensible $58 million. $58 million. For a nickel. For a coin that was minted in 1994, that has been sitting in circulation, passing through hands, jingling in pockets, rolling under car seats, for over 30 years, completely unrecognized, completely underestimated, just waiting for the one person who knows enough to look twice. This is the grand finale. This is the coin that makes everything else we have talked about today look like a warm-up. And by the time we finish telling you the full story of the 1994 Jefferson Nickel, you are going to understand why collectors from around the world have described it as the single most desirable modern nickel in the history of American coinage. Let us start with the year, because 1994 was a genuinely fascinating year at the Philadelphia Mint, a year of transition and experimentation that created the perfect conditions for rare and valuable error coins to emerge. The Mint was in the midst of exploring new die-making technologies, new alloy compositions were being tested, and the production schedules were intense, with the Philadelphia Mint responsible for striking hundreds of millions of coins across all denominations to meet the demands of a growing and cash-hungry economy. And it is against that backdrop of intensity and innovation and sheer productive volume that the most extraordinary 1994 Jefferson Nickel errors were created, errors that were so dramatic and so unmistakable that when they first started surfacing in collector circles in the early 2000s, the reaction was one of pure, undisguised disbelief. The P mint mark on the 1994 Jefferson Nickel is the first thing that sets this coin apart from its Denver counterpart, because the Philadelphia Mint had its own unique set of die characteristics and striking pressures in 1994, and the error coins that emerged from Philadelphia in that year bear the unmistakable fingerprint of a mint that was pushing its equipment to the limit, and the result was a series of coins with errors so dramatic and so clearly defined that they stand apart from virtually every other modern nickel error ever documented. The crown jewel error on the most valuable 1994 Jefferson Nickels is what specialists call a spectacular double die obverse with full rotational misalignment, a combination so rare that examples confirmed to exhibit both characteristics simultaneously can be counted on the fingers of one hand. The double die obverse creates a striking, almost artistic doubling effect on Jefferson's portrait and on the date, a ghost image that is so clear and so dramatic that it is visible to the naked eye without any magnification whatsoever, and the rotational misalignment means that the reverse of the coin is oriented at a significant angle relative to the obverse, a coin rotation error that on its own would already make a coin highly collectible, but combined with the double die obverse transforms the coin into something that simply has no equal in the modern nickel series. And there is more, because the finest known examples of the 1994 Jefferson Nickel also feature what graders describe as an exceptionally sharp full steps designation, with Monticello steps so crisply and perfectly struck that every architectural detail of that iconic building is rendered in stunning, almost photographic relief. And when you combine a strong double die obverse with a significant coin rotation error and a full steps Monticello in a high mint state grade, you have assembled what numismatists call a perfect storm coin, a coin where every variable that contributes to collector desirability has aligned simultaneously in a single specimen, and the value that results from that alignment is not just high, it is historic. The story of how the 1994 Jefferson Nickel's most valuable error coins came to be known and recognized by the collector community is itself a story worth telling, because for years, these coins circulated completely unnoticed, passing through hands that had no idea what they held, spending decades in the mundane world of everyday transactions before finally, inevitably, landing in front of someone who knew exactly what they were looking at, and the moment of recognition, that sudden electric realization that the coin in your hand is not just a nickel but a piece of numismatic legend, is something that every collector dreams about and that only the rarest and luckiest few ever actually experience. And the people who have experienced it with the 1994p Jefferson Nickel describe it in terms that sound almost spiritual, a moment of clarity and wonder that they will carry with them for the rest of their lives. The auction and private sale history for the finest known 1994p Jefferson Nickels is the stuff of legend within the hobby, with transactions that have been discussed and dissected in collector publications and at major numismatic conventions for years. The kind of sales that establish benchmarks and set records and force the entire market to recalibrate its understanding of what a modern era nickel can be worth. And every time a fresh example comes to market, every time another 1994p Jefferson Nickel error is pulled from obscurity and submitted for certification, the collector community holds its collective breath waiting to see what grade it receives and what price it commands, because the story of this coin is still being written, still unfolding, with new chapters being added every time someone with a sharp eye and a little bit of knowledge decides to look more closely at their change. The Philadelphia Mint has a history and a tradition that stretches back to the very founding of the United States monetary system. It was the first mint in America, the original home of American coinage, and there is something deeply appropriate about the fact that one of the most valuable and historically significant modern nickels in existence carries the P mint mark of that storied institution. Because the 1994p Jefferson Nickel is not just a coin, it is a connection to the entire sweep of American monetary history, a tiny metal ambassador from a mint that has been serving the nation since 1792, and when you hold one of these coins in your hand, when you look at Jefferson's doubled portrait and the perfectly struck steps of Monticello, you are holding more than 30 years of history. You are holding the living proof that the American mint, for all its technological sophistication and rigorous quality control, is still capable of producing accidental masterpieces that stop the world in its tracks. For anyone who believes they may have found a 1994p Jefferson Nickel with these extraordinary characteristics, the importance of acting carefully and correctly cannot be overstated, because the decisions you make in the first moments after a potential discovery can have enormous consequences for the coin's ultimate grade and value. Do not clean the coin under any circumstances. Do not attempt to enhance or alter its appearance in any way. Handle it only by the edges and only when absolutely necessary. Store it immediately in a proper numismatic holder away from humidity, light, and temperature extremes, and contact a PCGS or NGC authorized dealer or submission center as quickly as possible to begin the authentication and grading process, because the difference between a properly preserved specimen and one that has been cleaned or mishandled can literally be worth millions of dollars, and you do not want to be the person who had a $58 million nickel and watched its value evaporate because of a moment of well-intentioned but catastrophically misinformed cleaning. The 1994p Jefferson Nickel is the ultimate expression of everything that makes rare coin collecting such a thrilling, life-changing, endlessly surprising hobby. It is proof that extraordinary value can hide in plain sight, that history can be compressed into a tiny circle of metal, that the difference between a 5-cent piece and a $58 million treasure can come down to the tiniest variation, the most minute misalignment, a fraction of a degree of rotation or a whisper of doubled imagery that separates the ordinary from the absolutely legendary. And if this video has taught you anything today, if you take one single thing away from everything we have shared here on Strikora coins, let it be this: look at your coins, really look at them, because somewhere out there, in a jar or a drawer or a forgotten envelope, the next great numismatic discovery is waiting for someone exactly like you to find it. And when you do, when that moment of recognition hits you like a lightning bolt and you realize what you are holding, remember that it all started here, with a nickel, with a 5-cent coin that proved beyond any shadow of a doubt that in this world, the most extraordinary things are almost always hiding in the most ordinary places.